Test 1 2. Test 1 2. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Preston Sports Podcast, coming at you on this beautiful Fix 'em Up Friday. Today we're going to be focusing on the Bengals, but before we get into that, make sure you like, subscribe, comment down below, boop the notification bell. Let me know what you think about the Bengals. I don't remember what I said they would be whenever I did my record predictions, but it's probably not good. Just a little heads up, I'm doing something kind of cool tomorrow, kind of special. So Monday, I believe, I'm going to be uploading. It's not necessarily super different to what I regularly do, but it's a little bit different. And yeah, I'll update you guys on Monday whenever that comes out. Super excited for that. Make sure we watch. Turn your notification bell on so you get the notification whenever that's uploaded. But yeah, let's just hop right into the Fix 'em Up the Bengals. Just to kind of run through the Bengals. The Bengals are in a really weird spot right now. Joe Burrow obviously had that massive injury that it's gonna mess him up a little bit this year. I'm worried for him. Everyone seems to not be for some reason. I understand he's talented, but given that they didn't really improve the offensive line at all, and so much of his game last year was built on mobility. It's not like he tore his ACL or tore his MCL or whatever. He just blew out his knee. So that mobility is not going to be there at all. And he will play in the preseason at some point this weekend. So hopefully we get to see, hopefully he's okay. I imagine he won't get more than a drive or two. That will really mess them up as far as quarterback goes. Running back, they got Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon's a solid running back. I like him. Not top 10, top 15 for sure, but not top 10. There's not really much to say. They just kept him out last year. There was no need to put him in. They could have injured him. They weren't making the playoffs or doing anything. So, no need to keep him in. Hopefully with a somewhat better offensive line next year, in the 2022 season. Hopefully they can do a little something with that. A wide receiver, they obviously drafted Jamar Chase in the first round. When Penei Sewell was on the board, sure to take a Penei Sewell, but, chemistry is cool. Who needs knees when you have chemistry, right? Tyler Boyd, one of the best slot receivers in the league. T. Higgins, good outside receiver, and Jamar Chase is going to be the other outside receiver. Go a little deep in the depth chart with Auden Tate and Mike Thomas. Tight end CJ Uzoma. Nothing incredible. They do have Thaddeus Moss also from that LSU 2019 offense. Maybe we'll start to see him move up the depth chart a little bit. Hopefully he can play well. Offensive line, Jonah Williams, Quentin Spain, Trey Hopkins, Michael Jordan, and Riley Reif. Michael Jordan decided to unretire, but not from basketball. He decided to join football. He put on 200 pounds and is now playing right guard for a subpar offensive line. One person I think it's important to keep your eye on, Billy Price. I think he might work his way into the starting lineup just because of how bad the rest of the team, or the rest of the offensive line rather, is. Spoiler alert, the free agent targets, there's quite a few offensive linemen because they need offensive linemen. And they need first round pick, they need to draft a lineman. They're probably going to have a top 10 pick, they need to draft a lineman. We go to their defense. They have Sam Hubbard, DJ Reader, Larry Ogunjobi, the beast out of Charlotte, and Trey Hendrickson. Their defensive line, now super, super bad. Joseph Osai, their third-round pick, I believe, out of Houston, or maybe it was UT. Maybe it was Texas. I think it was Texas. Joseph Osai out of Texas tore his... I know Carl Lawson tore his Achilles. Maybe Joseph Osai also tore his Achilles. Joseph Osai is out for the season. Joseph Osai is someone I liked as a second-round edge rusher, and they fell to the third, and the Bengals snatched him up. It was a good pickup for them, but, they paid Trey Hendrickson in the offseason. They recently paid Sam Hubbard on an extension, so their edges are hopefully set for them. The interior is lacking a little bit. DJ Reader, Larry Ogunjobi, more of a pass rush guy. DJ Reader, in all honesty, don't really know. But either way, they kind of need to improve that interior defensive line. They just need to improve their defensive line in general. Trey Hendrickson will be interesting to see because in New Orleans, whenever he had his breakout season last year, he was the third edge rusher. It was Marcus Davenport and Cam Jordan and then Trey Hendrickson. And so as that number one guy, I'm curious to see how he'll do. It should be interesting. Linebacker, nothing crazy. Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt, Akeem Davis-Gaither. I like Logan Wilson. Logan Wilson played really well last year. It was on a subpar defense, so you probably don't know. Some of you may not know who Logan Wilson is, but he played really smart. He wasn't super crazy. He wasn't playing hero ball. I really liked what I saw from Logan Wilson. Jermaine Pratt, Akeem Davis-Gaither, average to subpar linebacker play from them. That's just kind of what they do. This defense is just in the rebuild right now. As far as secondary goes, not great. Chidobe Awuzie picked him up from Dallas, and Trey Waynes. Trey Waynes is super overpaid. I mean, and he hasn't even played for the Bengals yet. He's been injured, I believe. And then Mike Hilton, solid pickup from Pittsburgh. I really like what they have with him. Really good slot guy, a really good blitzing corner too. I'm curious to see if they use him on blitzes as much as Pittsburgh did, because that's kind of what that was his role. He was a slot corner, but he blitzed really, really well. And so I don't know if the Bengals defense plans to use him like that, but it definitely could be something, especially with one of their edge rushers getting hurt. Way to bring up the pressure. Safeties, Jesse Bates, definitely one of the better safeties in the league. I'm not convinced that he's a top 5 yet. He had one season of really good play on a bad defense. It's easy to shine when everyone around you is not that good. You know, you look at like Derrick Henry in high school. There was a rule, I think he couldn't touch the ball after halftime just because he was 6'3", 200 pounds. I mean, it's easy to look great when everyone else around you is subpar. And Von Bell, I mean, he's Von Bell. He's not that good. Ricardo Allen, I think, is a pretty decent backup. But, you know, Von Bell's under contract. Jesse Bates needs to get re-signed, actually, because he's a stud. And if he has another really good season, he'll definitely be considered top 5, possibly even top 3, depending on what he does. But talking about some needs. Offensive line, huge need. Definitely number 1. Need number 2. Defense, not a specific position. They just need defense. If you play linebacker, D-tackle, edge rusher, safety, strong or free safety, you play corner, you play slot, you're needed. And tight end. Tight end is a need. It's not super bad. CJ Uzoma's fine, but he's also going to be a free agent. I believe Drew Sample is also a free agent. And Thaddeus Moss, actually. Maybe they're all a free agent. Tight end is a pretty big need then. Key players to re-sign, like I said, Jesse Bates. And really, he's it. They need Jesse Bates, though. Jesse Bates is the best player on their defense, possibly the best player on their entire team, depending on how Joe Burrow comes back and how Joe Mixon looks and how Jamar Chase looks. But, you know, Jesse Bates is probably the best player on their entire team. And players they should re-sign dependent on price, meaning if they're not asking for a crazy amount of money and the Bengals see their value lining up with what they're asking for, they should sign them because they're not bad. Larry Ogunjobi being one of those players, Billy Price, just to keep offensive line depth, and CJ Uzomah, like I said, he's going to be a free agent, but you know, if you can't get a better option, you don't like the tight end class, you don't like the free agency tight end class, you know, there's no problem with kind of signing him to a 1-year deal, a 2-year deal, keeping him in the team, or on the team rather, and then building off of that. He would be more of a Band-Aid player at that point, just waiting. I would say trade for Zach Ertz, but Zach Ertz isn't a long-term answer either, and that's kind of what they need at tight end. Some possible free agent targets. I said offensive line is a lot. I only have 3, but there's definitely so many more you could say. Morgan Moses, tackle. I believe he signed. Oh, did he sign with the football team or the Jets? He's on one of them right now. Morgan Moses is a definitely a need. Eric Fisher coming off a 1-year deal on the Colts would be a really good sign. And then Laken Thompson, I believe, coming from the 49ers, would be a really good interior offensive lineman. And then, of course, the draft as well. It's a great place to improve your offensive line with first-round picks. To kind of shore up that inside defensive line, Linval Joseph and Jerron Reed, just 2 defensive tackles. And they're not spectacular by any mean, but you can draft a young guy and then have them have them start while your young guy develops. I didn't really think to say you need edge rushers. I like Trey Hendrickson. I like Joseph Osai and Sam Hubbard. They have edge rushers locked up long term. They have about 4 years with some solid edge rushers, so I see no need to go after one in free agency. Linebackers, Quan Alexander and Jayon Brown. Quan Alexander getting up there in age. Jayon Brown, I believe, is maybe 26, 27. Not too bad. Just kind of to help out Logan Wilson. I don't think Jermaine Pratt is your answer. I don't think Akeem Davis-Gaither is your answer. I don't think your depth, Jordan Evans, Marcus Bailey, Keandre Johnson is the answer. I just think you need some free agent help, and I think these would be 2 great free agents to go after. Some corners, Desmond King, Kyle Fuller. I like Desmond King because he also has safety versatility. You can put him at strong safety. I think you can also play him at free safety. I believe he was good at that in his time with the Chargers and or Tennessee. And then Kyle Fuller, up there in age, kind of declining in play a little bit. But beggars can't be choosers. You just need secondary. And, I don't think he's going to re-sign with Denver, so I think he will hit free agency, if not traded at the trade deadline. And then to address tight end, an unrealistic option is O.J. Howard. O.J. Howard is just in an unfortunate situation where Rob Gronkowski is on his team, so he's not going to start. And he also got injured last year too, which doesn't help his case at all. But I really like O.J. Howard. I do think the Bucs would re-sign him, though. I don't know if they'll let him hit free agency, and it also depends on their cap situation. But Gronk is only on a 1-year deal, so they might re-sign O.J. Howard, or maybe they let him go. But a more realistic option is Robert Tonyan. Aaron Rodgers is going to leave Green Bay. Devontae Adams is going to leave Green Bay, which clears up cap space. But at the same time, are you really going to keep a 29-year-old tight end? Maybe you will, but I think Robert Tonyan would be a great signing for this team in free agency. And then kind of just a little blurb, a little summary that I wrote. The Bengals need to invest heavily into their offensive line, as we saw last year when Joe Burrow's knee literally imploded on live television. This will result in a hesitant Burrow when moving out of the pocket, and more than likely, a decrease of ability to do so. Kind of like I said earlier, how so much of his game was dependent on his mobility and his ability to escape from pressure. I think whenever you take that away from him and he has to stand in the pocket or whatever the offensive line can provide to make it look like there's a pocket, I just think Joe Burrow's in a really difficult situation there going into only his 2nd year. That's just not good. This makes it it's super important for the front office to do everything they can. Signings, trades, draft picks. You have to address this offensive line. This offensive line needs to get fixed. You took this guy number 1 overall to be your franchise quarterback for the next 10, 15, maybe even 20 years. You have to protect him. It's great that he has chemistry with Jamar Chase. Take Penei Sewell at number 5. You just have to do that. And then tight end, you need to address it. And it's not as paramount as the offensive line, so you can put it off a couple of years, sign CJ Uzoma back, maybe keep Thaddeus Moss depending on he develops this next year. As far as defense goes, it's fixable. It's definitely more fixable. You have solid pieces. You have Jesse Bates. You have Trey Hendrickson. You have Joseph Osai. It's unfortunate his season is over due to injuries, but with the Bengals, you're not really worried about winning this year. You're thinking more long-term, the next 3, 4, 5, maybe even 7, 8, 9, 10 years with what you have now. But what the team needs is run stuffers. We saw last year the defense just got run over all day. I can't believe the Titans lost to them. I figured they would have just pounded the rock, but like the Browns in week 2 ran for like 300 yards, I think. Maybe it was 200. But it was an insane amount of yards. You need run stuffers. And I'm not talking like 285-pound guys. I'm talking 300 to 315-pound big boys clocking the A gaps, clocking the B gaps, working their way, moving shoulder pads, moving men. I'm talking people like Tommy Togiai getting 40 reps on the bench press. We need some big, strong men. We don't even need big boys. We need big men. This is getting kind of weird. Sorry. Gosh, dang it. No, but they really do need beefy interior defensive linemen who, even if they can't move people, who just won't be moved. It's a lot harder for a running back to run through a player than run through a gap. You feel me? Like, if you can get a 300-pound guy who maybe he can't pass rush really well, but he can put his feet in the ground, and whatever you do, you're not moving him. You're just not strong enough to do so. That helps your team. As long as he's filling a gap and he's taking care of his responsibility, let your edge rushers, let your other defensive tackle, let your linebackers come down and fill on run plays, the Bengals defense will be a lot better. And as far as cornerback goes, you just need better players. I don't know if Chidobe Awuzie is going to be your number one guy or Trey Waynes. I don't think either of them can be. I mean, sure they can be. I don't think either of them will be, I should say. And you have Mike Hilton, who's solid in the slot, but you just need to address your outside corners. And maybe you can develop Chidobe, or maybe you could, I call it Chidobe, excuse me, gosh dang it. Maybe you can develop Cheeto and Trey, but I would bet money that you can't. I would try to, you can't trade Trey Waynes. He's coming off an injury, barely played, and he has a monster cap hit. But yeah, so that's what I think the Bengals need to do. That's how you fix them up. You got to take care of the offensive line, protect Joe Burrow. You got to address tight end. I know they love giving him weapons. Maybe they should have given him a tight end. And then the defense, just defense, O-line, and this team will be so much better. I think that's going to be it for me today. Thank you guys so much for listening. I will be back on Monday with that special thing that I won't say what it is, but I'll give you a hint. It involves the Dallas Cowboys. That's all I'm going to tell you, though. Peace out. Have a nice night, guys. I will talk to you on Monday.